Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make rice pudding. Now in the UK, rice pudding is a dessert which is made most usually in the oven, and it's eaten hot or warm as well as cold. So it's served as a hot dessert. Now I'm aware that in North America, Canada and USA they do have rice pudding, but they tend to eat it served cold, and I think it's probably usually made on the stove top. But for mine, I'm going to do mine in the oven, and it's going to form a skin on the top of the rice pudding, which for some people is the best part of the pudding. Some people don't like it, they pull the skin aside, but others like the skin as the best part of the rice pudding, the most flavour. It's actually a very simple recipe, and you can mix and match the liquid ingredients. I'm going to use a combination of evaporated milk, semi-skimmed milk and double cream. But thinking about it, you could use some almond milk, some coconut milk. I use coconut and almond milk on my porridge, and I could have used that in this, it would have worked quite well. But the combination of the evaporated milk and the double cream are going to give a nice creamy texture to it. And then the semi-skimmed milk is just because that's what I tend to use for my tea and such like. And so for the rice pudding, the best rice to use is what we call pudding rice. It is a short grained rice. There are three sizes of rice. There's short grain, medium grain, long grain. Short grain rice is what we use for rice puddings. Medium grain rice, such as arborio, and another one which I can't think of the name at the moment, tends to be used for risottos, but it will work for rice pudding. And then long grain rice is like that basmati type rice that you would use to serve as a side dish on a main course or something. So if you can get short grained rice, or at a pinch arborio rice, that will be fine. So to start off with, I've preheated my oven to 150 Celsius, that's 300 Fahrenheit, and I've taken a glass oven-proof pan here, which is 24 centimetres, just over 9 inches, by 19 centimetres, just over 7 inches wide at the top. This is capable of holding almost 2 litres, and you need a container which will hold at least 1.5 litres. Now if you don't have a glass container, that's fine. I will give you different cooking times depending on whether you're using a glass container or a metal container. So I've buttered that very well. And so I'll go on to the ingredients, and for this I have 150 grams, which is 1 3/4 cups of this short grained rice, and I see if you can see that it is very short grained there. And in our supermarkets it tends to be sold as pudding rice, and that's 3/4 cup. I have 28 grams, 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm using unsalted butter because that's what I have. I have 50 grams, 1/4 cup of caster sugar, and in that I just dropped 1 whole nutmeg, because you grate nutmeg onto the top of the rice pudding. If you don't have a whole nutmeg, you could use ground nutmeg. It's not quite the same, but it will work. And if you wanted to use different spices on the top, you could. Then I have here 450 millilitres, which is 2 cups minus 2 tablespoons of double cream. I have 400 millilitres, which is 1.5 cups plus 3 tablespoons of semi-skimmed milk. And then I have 1 can, 410 grams, which is 14 ounces of evaporated milk. And you don't need very much sugar because the evaporated milk is very sweet anyway. And basically all those ingredients are going to go in to our prepared tin. or prepared pan, should I say. So what I'm going to do is pour the rice in and the sugar, and then I'm going to pour the liquid ingredients in. I'm going to start with the double cream because I then want to put the milk into that jug and give it a stir around just to get the cream off the sides of the jug more easily, and put that in as well. And then finally, for the liquid, I'm going to put in the evaporated milk. And if I didn't say it, I should say you can change the combinations. You could use all whole milk. You could use a combination of milk and cream if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you. And then I'm just going to stir those around. Like that. And then I'm going to just drop little cubes of butter onto the top, and that will start to float. And after that I'm going to grate nutmeg. Now, how much you use is actually a matter of taste. You can use as much or as little as you want. I'll probably use about half of this nutmeg, but you could use all of it if you wanted to. So I've used about half of the nutmeg, and that's all I have to do. And then I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to cook it at that 150 Celsius, 300 Fahrenheit for 45 minutes. And after 45 minutes I'll simply pull the tray out and stir it around. The skin will have started to form, but I can break that skin, stir it around, and then put it back into the oven and continue to cook it until the total cooking time is 2.5 hours. Now, I'm cooking for 2.5 hours because I'm using a glass or a Pyrex dish, and it takes time for that to heat through to get to the cooking temperature. If you're using a metal container, that heats up much more quickly, so I think total cooking time of 2.25 hours will be enough. So once it has cooked for the total of 2.5 hours, and it has a nice dark skin on the top, I will take it out of the oven and I let it cool down for a few minutes. Then I'll come back and show you the result. So I cooked the rice pudding for 2.5 hours, and after 45 minutes I stirred it as I said that I would. Then I allowed it to continue to cook for the 2.5 hours, and I've taken it out of the oven, and as it happens it's coincided with me just about to eat my dinner. So I'll show you what the rice pudding looks like, and you can see my dinner as well for what it's worth. Then I'll have a little taste of the rice pudding, but only a little taste because I'll eat more after I've eaten my dinner. And then when it's cooled down completely, I'll also take some photos of the rice pudding cold, because it will set thicker and it can be eaten cold. So this is what it looks like. So as you can see, the skin is on the top and it's nice and thick and creamy. And so if I just break it away a little bit, I can just take just a small amount like that to taste now. It is so creamy, and that nutmeg flavour comes through very, very well indeed. The rice is nice and soft as it should be, so it's perfect, I think, and it's very easy to make, so it's worth giving it a try. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.